Before we begin tonight's procedure, a little change in the format here this evening. The first part of the meeting will be used to listen to comments for the conditional use permit, for any conditions to be attached to the permit before being submitted to the governing body, which is council, for their consideration. Today is the 28th day since its submission to the planning commission. Plus, we have 2 days in which to compile any comments whatsoever. The format will run like this. You'll have comments on conditional uses from our engineer, our legal counsel, and on the table. Following that, comments only on the conditional use permit for any conditions that you, the audience, feel should be included in it. Not personal feelings on anything else of the sort. Give me facts, give me whatever you got, so that we can put it in, attach it, and forward to it. Is that understood?
Yes.
After that, permitting, we'll have questions and answers, and I'm sure there's quite a few of them. So, thank you. You're welcome. Let us begin with our borough engineer, Mr. Cooch. Mr. Cooch, the floor is yours.
I just, last time we met, there was four, there might have been some things I missed, but 4 things that I remember that we talked about as possible conditions on the permit was that LEC would agree to have a borough designated person or firm who would give notice to LEC to visit the site for the purpose of checking out the monitoring data. The LEC would purchase the former Jessup dump site for some amount to be agreed upon. All permits are to be in place before any construction commences, and a road use and repair agreement on Sunnyside Drive, where everything would be brought back up to pre-construction conditions upon completion of construction of the project.
All right. You wish to expand on any of those things?
No, not at this point.
Can I ask a question? Would the representative from the borough responsible for inspecting and going over the emissions monitoring reports, is that something your office is capable of doing, or is that something outside work we would hire out?
I guess that depends. I think that's something that would have to be figured out. That would have to get some training as to how their monitoring system works and how the reporting is. I mean, I looked in their permit with DEP, the permitting and reporting, the reporting requirements are quite detailed. Do I understand all of those reporting requirements? I really don't. But someone would have to be more or less become familiar with it or trained in that regard to go up and to review that information.
Well, then, if such a condition were to be, I would recommend that we do send somebody with a DEP representative who does know what the emissions are and can be deciphered for that individual to report back. The DEP does make all that information available, but it's not readily available where people like that are in this audience can go get it. So if they had a rep from the borough that went with them and got educated on what the emissions were and where they compared to their allowable emissions.
And then we took, I want to just further comment, I think, and I can look into this more, but it's my understanding that DEP would have the enforcement authority. However, we would, and I like your idea about, I think what you would you turn it into DEP, have them come up, and they, I think, have the power of enforcement over, their permitting anyway. Now, as far as any conditions the borough may put on, we could talk about who, those are things that are in our authority, possibly the engineer, possibly the code enforcement officer, or I would probably suggest wording it, the borough and or its agents, and or, agents or designate, servants, workmen, employees, et cetera.
Where are we with the plan approval as far as with the DEP? Other than the one hearing that we had, have they gone any further in granting the plan approval?
On the air permit.
On the air permit.
They're working on a response to the public comment right now.
Okay. So do we happen to get any public comment in there from representatives of the borough that suggested what?
It was reported, were comments going to be issued, my understanding was around Thanksgiving, next week?
Yeah, there wasn't a comment on that, but we could certainly work with the borough to work out a condition like that.
Yeah,
That's a very reasonable condition.
And again, Attorney Panucci's correct, it is DEP's responsibility to report it. I think a lot of folks in here that haven't dealt with DEP are maybe untrusting, but in the end of the day, they are responsible to get that information to somebody, okay, so.
Well, they're the sole entity.
Exactly.
For,
I think the other thing that Dennis had raised the last time was, not just to be bound by the DEP review schedule, but upon reasonable notice to be able, the borough to send a designated representative to review the data with or without DEP.
Is DEP scheduled for inspection quarterly? Is that what I saw?
And really, we have quarterly reports we have to submit.
Right.
Clean everything up. We also have annual reports.
Let's shut down the air.
There's a whole variety of reporting requirements. And then they can make an inspection anytime they want. They can, without no reasonable notice.
Right.
Annual tank testing.
But the data is collected daily.
So you believe DEP's gonna have your answers or our answers to the public comment by the end of Thanksgiving? Somebody said it was January before.
I think there's a second hearing in January, if I'm not mistaken.
That's not on the air permit, that's on the.
Well, there's another hearing of Valley View.
That's on
January
the, that's on the.
That's on wastewater.
That's
That's
on
wastewater. But our belief is they'll have all of the responses to the comments, I don't know if it's by Thanksgiving, but around Thanksgiving.
yeah, my understanding was it was around the Thanksgiving, December 1 timeline, they were gonna give written responses to the public hearing that was already held.
What authority would this designated person or firm have insofar as the inspections and the reporting back? Is it just the reporting outfit, or who do they report to? What authority do they have?
Who's this, Jim?
Well,
Who are you asking?
I'm asking, we appoint citizenry to monitor.
It wouldn't be the
It would be the
citizen. It
citizen.
would be the
We have to
citizen.
hire
Who they,
We hire
who
some.
do they
Well, it would
report
be-
to? What authority do they have?
It would be somebody to check up. It's basically either the borough engineer, the code enforcement officer, and I like the suggestion with DEP, a representative of DEP. Ultimately, what I was suggesting, as they're saying, it's my understanding is only DEP has enforcement authority over the permitting. So if there's a violation of something, a regulation or a condition of the permit, DEP's permit, DEP is the only one that has the authority. Now, that doesn't mean we can't dime them out. We can't, we could be up there having the authority to go in and, with our, whatever conditions you may put in place as far as monitoring. I know that was discussed, that's on one of our punch list things there, emissions, monitoring information upon reasonable notice, to go in and, say what our engineer and however that's set up. My point is, even though we would have enforcement of power over the conditional use, you always have that, but the higher authority is DEP. So if there's a violation of the air quality, DEP steps in, you may have some limited authority over the conditional use. Fix this,
So technically,
there's always a fixed period.
council working through you and or Mr. Kutch within his office could get somebody or find somebody.
A firm?
That's a firm, a person, whatever,
Good.
that works through with DEP, that between those folks do this oversight. And if the
I
oversight
don't
is
wanna
incorrect,
suggest that you
who
could
comes
hire
back?
somebody to step into the shoes and take the place of DEP.
No,
I don't think you have the authority to do that.
that's not what I mean.
Yeah.
What I mean is someone that would understand the same, go down the same road that DEP would go down. And understand
To be,
what DEP.
in my
would-
mind, what I'm envisioning, and tell me if you agree with this, I'm envisioning the borough as another watchdog. Okay, you have DEP as a watchdog and always there to walk in anytime without notice, respond to a complaint. My point is are you saying that the borough would also have someone designated, whoever that may be, to be another watchdog to, if we determine there's a possible violation? That you could do.
I would think we'd have to.
If that's what you're suggesting, that's what you could do. I just don't know if you have the power to cite them. Depending on what it is, you still have power over enforcing the conditional use as a violation of a conditional use permit, but, yeah.
In other words, they have no,
I think we're,
As we understand it, the notion is that the borough would have a designee, whether it's a borough agent or a separately retained firm,
there you go.
who could review the emissions data more or less often than the DEP will. And in the event a violation is suspected or noted, the usual process in this situation is that's reported to DEP, who then takes the lead on
Exactly right.
whether a violation exists, and if they do, then they issue an NOV notice of violation.
but by the same token, they would have no enforcement authority.
Who?
No, it's an oversight, it's an oversight position, that basically,
Just mirroring, really don't have enforcement authority over that.
Yeah. The enforcement authority on our state permits is with DEP.
Only they have the ultimate enforcement.
I don't think so.
But this was the police for you. You don't have the power to arrest somebody, you call the police, they come and arrest them.
But
Excellent.
you would have the ability to send them, in theory, far more often than DEP would.
And there would be a third, individual third party.
Correct. On behalf of the borough rather than on behalf of the DEP.
That could be contracted, like, that could be done through your borough engineer. They're the ones best suited to work under their arm, under their extension, you know. They would guide you on who would be the right type of entity for that, I think. I think that's what he was suggesting.
And Dennis, you would have someone that would be able to do something like that?
Or firm, recommend.
Yeah, I mean, we would either have a consultant or, like I said, if, it's just a matter of reading the different monitors and stuff like that, so, I mean, that's not monitors that we look at every day, so, I mean, if they went there with the DEP representative and could, you know, understand, you know, the stack monitors, whatever other monitors they have, and how they're recorded, then after that, it would be pretty straightforward, I would think, in terms of getting the data. Because that's all we would be doing, is getting the data, comparing it to allowables. I mean, normally the allowables are measured over a period of time. It's not like an instantaneous thing typically. So you'd have to monitor them a few times, but you wouldn't have to wait every quarter, as DEP might, you know, if you suspected something, you
Your
could
permit
order.
does have a couple instantaneous, limits, doesn't it?
Yes.
There are a few, but again, these are constant monitoring machines that pick these up, so I guess the inspection of those, the calibration of those are gonna be up to the DEP to inspect.
Yeah, we have calibration requirements, and they call it rapid testing on the sim equipment. We have to But I'm just kind of listening, and what it really sounds like to me, what you want is you want an independent auditor. You want somebody who works for the borough, who's, you know, maybe a borough employee, maybe a seconded, maybe, you know, a contractor, whatever, who can independently kind of go in and look at our emissions data and say, yeah, they've been in compliance and AEP is enforcing it at kind of just many checkpoints. That's what it sounds like. Requirement.
Great. Rick, can I maybe, if you want to hear more from it, were these weren't just like proposed resolutions at the last meeting, because I wasn't there, I didn't know where these.
Okay,
Scott.
I know that there's several handouts that were placed in
Yeah.
front of you, but let me point out that this one is kind of a summary that I presented to you to review of what was discussed at last meeting, and some of the thoughts that have been kind of ongoing. Attached to it is a letter that Dennis just read to from.
Because he's an expert.
This was his.
Okay.
And these are, again, things discussed and or not. I wrote a couple things in there about a host agreement, I wrote a question mark, sale of dump. So these are things you need to digest. Now, there's another document I understand, it's similar, it looks similar. I understand that, the objectors, I'm not sure, Jason?
Citizens for a Healthy Justice.
Thank you. I could stop using objectors now.
Yes, you can.
Citizens have submitted for short as some proposed suggestions, and I just actually commented to Mr. Petrachko, I didn't see Mr. Smith around, but I just saw these tonight, and there's some really good stuff in here.
Yes, there is.
And there's, you'll see that
Very
several
similar to yours.
overlap.
Yeah, because we
Well,
didn't-
but it's all good.
I didn't see yours.
It's all good,
But-
we're all on,
but we're all on
it's
the
good to know
same
we're on the
page.
same page in a lot of respects.
In a lot of respects.
And then, there's a third one there, I'm not sure where that came from.
I don't know what that is, but Jason,
I'm sure one of the
well
speakers,
done.
probably one of the speakers.
well written, articulated perfectly. No one should have any questions on understanding. And thank you for your time and your group, because you know what? Really, we're all here for the same reason. No matter how anybody wants to put it across, we're all here for the same reason. I really don't want to leave, Justin. I've been here 60 years. I've turned down 5 promotions in my career. I'd like to die in Justin. I really would. But I don't want to die.
Mr. Perini? Mr. Perini? I think that can be arranged.
And I don't mean disrespect in that comment in any way, shape, or form. I love Jessup. I love what it stands for. I've been a volunteer servant for almost 50 years, 46 years, and I'll die a volunteer servant. So I love the community, and I hope we can all find a happy medium to make it work for everyone and to raise our families, our grandchildren, our children's children. That's we're old. I mean, we're old. I probably won't personally have the effect of this plant at all, to me, but I'm not looking at it. I'm looking at the next generation, because that's what you charged us with here. And as Mr. Panucci always says, we have a fiduciary duty, we do. And if you don't, then you know what? I have the right to close this book and quit. I don't have to be here. I don't get paid for this. No, yeah, they double my paper. But again, I'm not trying to, I just want everybody to understand, I hope we're all here for the same purpose. And Janine, terrific. Terrific. Really, really terrific. The best presentation that I've seen.
Jason,
The best.
Jeff.
And I'm sure Mr. Ewing and Mr. Glazer will even agree with it when they read it. So, very well. It's not out of line, it's not unfair, it's not unreasonable.
Can I ask some questions about how some of these requests of the objectives were?
Citizens for a healthy
The
future.
citizens.
Maybe.
The citizens that were, I take it they did have a chance to go through the 637 page.
Does it matter?
Unfortunately.
Page by page, Mike.
Yeah. I look at the fourth one where the facility will not exceed 200,000 gallons of water usage per day. When in the report, they've requested 400,000. For 400,000, yeah, so
But that's not the usage. That's,
You were here last week.
And they caveat that with the next 2 paragraphs.
Right, but the 400,000 gallons